Welcome back to the Resistance broadcast, everybody. We are the official podcast of StarWarsNewsNet.com. And if you are listening to this and watching this, not only are you part of the Resistance, but you are our people. And if you follow our hashtag and our movement, Make Solo 2 Happen, then guess what? You're also Jonas Sotomo's people, because Jonas tweeted recently that his people are the Make Solo 2 Happen people. So you're in great company. You're in Wookiee company, folks. And joining me on this episode of the Resistance broadcast is my people. As always, it is James Bainey and Lacey Gillerin. Guys, Make Solo 2 Happen is still rocking. Celebration tickets are purchased. We're heading to Anaheim next year. We got a lot to talk about. How you guys feeling? Feeling good on this Monday? What's going on?
Yeah, when I looked down at my phone and I saw that I got a quote tweeted by him, I was like, well, Wookiee here.
Oh, no. James, no.
Waka waka.
No.
Well, that's not bad, though.
Yeah, that was crazy, and the whole day of trying to get tickets was just absolutely insanity. And I don't think anything close would have happened if we didn't have Lacey to steer us in the right direction over hotels and what was available and how the whole thing works.
Hacking the system.
Gosh. Yeah, yeah. We did very well, and it was because Lacey gave us great direction.
For sure. I was like, so Lacey, remember when I was like,
it was literally, we're like a minute out from tickets going live. I had been prepping John at least for 3 days.
I go,
3
all right,
days.
so what's the site? Show links? And she's like, no, it's show clicks. And I'm like, oh no. I hope I don't get into the queue first.
What hotel are we looking for?
Yeah.
Hilton and Marriott, John, for the 50th time.
I thought it was a Holiday Inn Express and we were all going to learn new skills, but no. Absolutely not.
No, it was crazy.
So you guys a little fired up to talk a little Star Wars? We don't do that often on this podcast. What do you think?
We're usually a Marvel podcast.
Right, we're a Marvel podcast. I actually, I'll get into it later, but it'll be good. All right, guys. So we do have some poll results to get into here. So let's knock those out right now. All right, guys, we said if there were speaking of celebration, a Disney Plus panel announced showcasing each of these projects at Star Wars Celebration, which would you be most excited about seeing or attending?
I wonder who came up with this poll.
And again, listen, guys. This is all hypothetical here. These are not officially announced projects. Some of them obviously have been reported by certain people. Some of them have been wished by certain people. But anyway, here we go. The options we gave you are an Obi-Wan Kenobi series, Solo 2 or Solo series, Rebels, Ezra sequel series, which people are thinking may happen, or other, where we let you kind of comment and say, oh, you didn't mention this or this or this, but Twitter only gives us 4 options, so we try to throw the other one in there for you guys. But anyway, the winning vote, which I expected, 45% Obi-Wan Kenobi series, followed right behind it, 37% by Solo 2. Make Solo 2 happen. 15% chugging in the rear there. The Rebels Ezra sequel series, and only 3% said other. So most people are dialed into these 3 options. James, Lacey, what's the story here? First of all, what did you vote for, and were you surprised at how this laid out in the results?
No, people love Kenobi. He's GOAT, so everybody wants him. That whole project, I feel like that's all everybody talks about for the past 3 years of my life has been
like the inevitable when's
Kenobi gonna happen? And then Ewan showing up at the Solo premiere just hyped that stuff right up.
Yeah.
John, in your report, people have been super pumped about it. I said Solo 2. I want Solo 2 so bad. I'm in it. John convinced me in September that Solo 2 is a thing. I'm in. I'm here for it.
Now, I know for a fact, because he's not the biggest fan of this idea, that James probably did not vote for Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I'm going to guess.
He's the biggest Kenobi fan.
No, well, he never liked the idea of a Kenobi movie or Kenobi anything. So I'm going to guess James.
It's like, what are you going to tell?
James voted for Ezra here. But let's see, James, what did you vote for, and were you surprised about the results?
I voted for Ezra. Yeah.
I know. But I know.
I knew you were gonna.
I know.
You've been talking about how you want the story to come about.
Yeah. I was not surprised by these results at all, because you just look at it, like, before you even vote and it shows you what it is, I was like, you already know. Most people are going to go for that Obi-Wan one because it's so connected to a familiar character. Mm-hmm. But the second winner is going to be Solo 2, because we have put so many great ideas into people's mind, like, I don't want another Solo. And then we're like, what about Enfys Nest? And they're like, well, okay, maybe that, or something. We've had a lot of general ideas of what this whole thing could be, that I think a lot of people are like coming around to the idea that maybe something like that could be really cool. But don't count out the Rebels Ezra stuff. That is definitely a strong announcement. If they ever came out and said it, a lot of people would be really happy to get the end of that story. And it's not just his story either. Obviously it's Ahsoka's and others as well.
There's so much left there that needs to be told.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe get a little Jason Syndulla in there.
Who? I'm just kidding. I know him. He's green.
Yeah, I know him. He's green. He's the Kermit the Frog of
or
the
is he
Star Wars
orange?
universe.
Now I'm starting to lose my mind.
No, I think he looks like Caucasian almost, right?
No, he's a different color. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, well,
you only see him for 1 second. I wasn't focused.
I thought
on
he
him
was like
at the
a
end of
mix.
that.
Like, he's obviously a mixture between Hera and Kanan. So he's like,
yeah, but I think they just colored
greenish
him
with
weird,
purple eyes or something like that.
He had like punk rock hair. He's like,
I don't remember.
Gonna be a Jedi. All right,
well, let's move on to the best comment, and I'll find it real quick.
The best comment was by a patron of ours, and he goes by Canon Junkie, but his handle is Junkie Canon, and his name is Jerry, and we met him at Celebration. So this is what Jerry had to say, and I did not fix this. This got the most likes, so. So there's no favoritism here. Although I love Jerry. He said, gotta go with a Solo series just to go and bask in the light of the Resistance broadcast's achievement.
I love that he had to start with, I didn't make this up or rig this.
I didn't, no. But I love that Jerry, he used the dramatic phrasings of bask in the light. So that's... But he got a lot of comments, and I think I'll have to say this. He probably got a lot of comments because he used hashtag Make Solo 2 happen, and people are digging on that. So good job there, Jerry. But yeah, I think all these options would be great if they made all of them, frankly. So especially that other series looks really good.
He is orange. Purple. What'd I say? Purple eyes.
He's a white kid. He's Caucasian.
Yeah, so he does look more like that than I thought. I think the green is the green hair. Yeah. That's
I said purple eyes.
Getting from that.
He almost looks like Peter Pan, kind of,
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, bangarang! I love Hook. It's an underrated movie. All right, guys. We have some news to get into, and as you guys know, Monday is our news show. So we are going to pop over to the Resistance Report right now and see what James Baney has cooking for us today.
It's the Resistance.
All right, guys. There's someone new in town. And according to Deadline, that new person is Michelle Rejwan. She is officially now the Senior VP of Live Action Development and Production for Lucasfilm. This was appointed by Kathleen Kennedy, and her official job description is that Rejwan will oversee a new slate of feature films and episodic series for Lucasfilm and Disney Plus, and continue to produce with Kennedy as Star Wars franchise is built out. So this was a pretty big event that happened. We have someone new, strong in power, making choices. And if the name seems unfamiliar, this Michelle comes from a background of working with Bad Robot. J.J. Abrams appointed her when it came to The Force Awakens, but she had worked on other projects with him, such as Super 8 and Star Trek Into Darkness. So starting this whole thing off, Lacey, I want to start with you. How do you feel about this move, or are you excited about this new person coming in and having a little bit of control over the movies and television series?
So I don't know a lot about Michelle. I'm going Michelle because obviously we're on a first name basis.
Yeah.
But I know, I'm kidding, obviously. But she's come from a background of, she worked her way up. She was an assistant, and then she was, working as like an associate producer and then a producer, and she's now where she is. Like, that's really inspiring that someone would take those steps to get where they are. So I noticed there was a lot of negativity online of like, why did she get this job? Because she worked her butt off. And in an interview, she even said, she's like, get a job, work your butt off. Everything will pay off. And I appreciate that because I'm a very hard worker myself. That being said, I'm super excited about this because it said feature films and live action stuff for both Lucasfilm and Disney Plus. So I know 6 months ago, James, we were talking about like, will they ever make movies for Disney Plus? And we were like, no way. Bob Iger said no. This is that, like, when I was saying, well, 6 months from now, we don't know. This is that kind of thing that I'm like, okay, 6 months later, we have someone here that could be doing those types of things. And I just think there's so many projects that they could be working on that we're unaware of. And to put someone in a position like this means that there are a lot of things that they need to announce still and get going.
So let me follow up on that. Are you looking at this as a confirmation that they are moving in the direction of doing feature films on Disney Plus?
Yeah.
Ooh. I didn't get that. John, where do you want to take off on that? Maybe not that point specifically, but about the.
I think this is a lot of things. For one, it means that our buddy Dave Filoni is probably staying nestled in the nice little realm of animation, and I think they may just straight up make some kind of announcement that he's going to oversee all animation. If he kind of already is, but that it sounds like that's going to be his turf going forward. Now that they make this kind of announcement, and I don't know if this is planting the seeds of Kathleen Kennedy passing the torch for when her contract expires in 2 or 3 years. But yeah, Michelle Rejwan, I didn't know her by name, but I knew, like, when I found out who she was, I knew who she was in terms of her positioning and that sort of thing, and having worked with Bad Robot. And I kind of looked into her credentials and that sort of thing. And I don't know too much about what it is to be a producer because I'm not one. But obviously, Kathleen Kennedy has 40 years experience doing this sort of thing. So you got to think that she's more qualified to pick somebody than a YouTube personality, right? So I think it's a good pick. I believe in Kathleen Kennedy. She's put good people in the chair, and if you think J.J. Abrams is good at what he's doing, he's had her with her the whole way. So that's another.
I was going to say that too. Also, you got to imagine
that's an endorsement right there, because everyone
Mm-hmm.
loves JJ, especially if episode 9 winds up being great. And again, that's another thing. They must be confident about episode 9 because she's a producer on episode 9. So if episode 9 goes badly and she's supposed to be in this position, that is not a good look. So they must have been confident enough to announce her at this position before 9 comes out, which leads me to believe that they must really believe that this movie is going to end up being something special. So I think that tells us a lot of different things. I'm not buying the whole thing about movies going to Disney Plus, though, Lacey. I didn't get that part of it, but I do like that.
It's the wording. They didn't say or. They said and.
Sure. But I do like the fact that they're putting this out there and saying she's going to be controlling, or not controlling, but overseeing both for the theatrical and Disney Plus. But it's got to be, James and Lacey, it's got to be Disney Plus more so now, because they kind of already have the slate of films for the next 5 years mapped out.
So far.
Yeah.
It seems to me that the Mandalorian is kind of already on its way. So this may be a move to come in and help out with Cassian Andor specifically. And the Game of Thrones stuff as they've wrapped up their Game of Thrones creators is what I'm saying. As they wrapped up their show and they're moving into that.
Right.
That it seems like they're like, we're going to need someone to take control of both Cassian Andor and, likely the Obi-Wan series or however that is starting to move forward, if that's the case. And then also the Benioff and Weiss stuff. So what's the follow-up, Lacey?
So, sorry, I thought you were done talking. My follow-up to John is, John, you're saying that they must be super confident in 9, but wouldn't you say the same thing about Last Jedi, seeing as they said Ryan was doing a trilogy prior to The Last Jedi?
If you heard me giggle a minute ago, That's what I thought.
They said that like 2 months before Last Jedi, being like, "Oh, Rian Johnson's getting more movies," and now we're here.
Yeah, I think the only difference there is that you're talking about the Rian Johnson thing is him creating content, and where this is her overseeing project development. So I think there are two different things. So I try not to put them all in the same basket. But you're right; that is a absolutely fair argument. So does that mean they're even more confident about 9 than we thought?
I think they are, given on everything that we've heard so far. Like that, they definitely are. But it just, at the same time, there's this little part of me that's like, but they were super confident about this and super confident about Solo, so...
Yeah, the only thing that you have to keep in mind is, like, and Pablo Hidalgo has talked about this, they are working on things that could be more than 10 years down the road that they're developing and putting ideas around, and that's where I think she comes in. Because like James said, Mandalorian's already in the works. Cassian Andor is going to be starting production soon. You may have stuff that's already about to be greenlit, like a Kenobi. So she's, as far as I understand her position, she's supposed to be developing new projects and ideas and helping them get into production and stuff like that. So we may be thinking whatever she's fully involved in, we may not see for 10 years.
Right.
I think I found the quote that Lacey was referring to that might actually open the door to the whole movies on.
It's towards the bottom.
I was going to say that's the last line. It does say, blah, 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 blah. She's important in shaping the future in all Star Wars story development, from theatrical film development to live action content from Disney Plus. So they're not specifically saying... They're not specifically saying television series or series for Disney Plus. They're saying live action content, which opens the door to more than just a television series. Good catch, Lacey.
That's what red flagged me when I read that article. I was like, well, they specifically chose this word content, and I know from writing my own press releases that you definitely choose every word that's in a press release.
Yeah, you know what? If she doesn't work out, Michelle Rejwan, they'll just go over to Reg 2, and then if Reg 2 doesn't work out, it'll be Reg 3. Reg 4, and then they'll bring in Mark Hamill if they need to, and it'll be Reg 5 standing by.
Is she Reg leader then?
She's Reg leader, Reg 1.
All right.
I've been holding on to that one.
I think that's the cue, guys.
Do my golf swing. I know you guys like that one. Come on, here we go. There was someone who, if you just almost spit out your coffee, whatever you were drinking, comment that you almost did, because sometimes I get those.
Dad jokes below.
Hashtag almost spit out my coffee.
Next story up is ET Online was doing an interview with Gina Carano, and she the question of the Mandalorian was brought up and how it was working with Jon Favreau, and she had I retweeted this because I was like, I love Jon Favreau. I'm watching the Chef Show right now, but this is what she said to say. He looked at me before my big scene, one of my biggest introductory scenes in The Mandalorian, and he was like, "We're going to change your trajectory right now," she recalled. I think he's a very honest man. I think he's seen the struggle. I think he's seen what happens to careers, and he's like, "We're going to change your path right now." He's like, "From here on out, you're going to choose jobs that complement you, and we're going to choose jobs that challenge you, or you're going to choose jobs that challenge you, and you're going to believe in yourself from this scene forward." I love Jon Favreau, and I think he's brilliant, and he's like, in my mind, he's one of those filmmakers that I have an eye on to be like, I was paying attention to this guy back when he was blank, and he has continued to turn stuff out. John, I'm going to start this story with you. Do you have any comments on Jon Favreau, on The Mandalorian, on Gina Carano?
Yeah, I mean, Gina Carano, you have to think you're coming from being a mixed martial artist, a successful one. I think she was like 8-1 her record, and she lost her final fight to a steroid user. So, but she goes from that to getting into acting, and then we've seen these types of people do that. These MMA fighters, even wrestlers, they get into acting. Like Batista became Drax, right? And you have to imagine when you get into this life of acting and you're surrounded by professional actors, there's Carl Weathers, there's Pedro Pascal, and there's Nick Nolte or whatever. it must be kind of intimidating because you're an MMA fighter that's an actor. She made it sound like she didn't fully, believe in herself yet. And Favreau almost kind of said like, this is your moment here. And in the article, I kind of put an analogy, like it felt like those sports movies where the coach is in the locker room with his team and they're down in the fourth quarter and he's like, we're going to win this thing, like a Hoosiers moment or like Miracle. And he's like, this is your time. And she said that really hit her hard. And that speaks of two things there. One, she's open enough to be that vulnerable to admit that. And then also like that Jon Favreau, again, just proves how much he can get out of his talent. He may have not even been the director on that episode for all we know. This whole story is just so good to me, and I'm really excited to see her get involved in this because she seems like she's really excited to be involved. It's not just a gig. So this whole story, I kind of really dug it a lot, and I'm excited to see what she can do.
Lacey, are you excited to see Cara Dune, the former Rebel shock trooper, take the screen in the form of Gina Carano?
I'm more excited to see Gina Carano than to see that character because I don't know anything about the character, but I love Gina Carano. So first of all, Ash Crossan, who's been on the show before, she did a great job asking these questions. She always asks really good questions that are not the basic, like, how do you feel about this role?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was very, I hate those questions so much when someone asks, how do you feel? Like after
Did it
sports,
feel good to
like
be in the Star Wars?
like a sports game, John, sports, where they're like, how do you feel about winning? You're like, of course they're going to say, I feel great. Like,
yeah. Did it feel good to go out there and win tonight?
Sportsing really hard.
How does it feel to bring home the W?
W is slang for win.
Yeah. Sports. So Gina was so sweet in this interview. And when she went on about how they invited her in and she thought she was going to be stuck in a Chewbacca outfit, like that sets off her mindset of like, I thought I was going to be put in this big Chewbacca outfit, big thing. Cause she's like a big girl, not big, but like buff and tall. So, large, not the right word.
Yeah, I know. I was like large and in charge. And I was like, no,
just like James is like,
yeah.
But yeah, no, she's great. She's so personable. And at Celebration, she was really excited too. You could just feel it like kind of coming off of her, how excited she was. But the quote from with Favreau, where she talked about their interaction is like super touching because I think everybody has that moment in their life where they needed someone to tell them the tough, like you need to believe in yourself more than you think. And the idea that she didn't makes me so sad. But the fact that she got to that moment where she did is like that, like you go from, oh yes. And then you're like ready to watch her do her thing. But I think she's going to kick butt. I love her in every movie that she's in. I think she does a great job, but I can imagine that she probably gets typecast as like the fighter or the bad guy like Deadpool. So the idea that he's like, no, you're going to pick what you want to do. It's your choice. It's like such a wonderful moment in anybody's life to know that they have the power and control to make their own choice and path. And it's really inspirational. And I loved it.
Yeah, she might have also gone out for that role. Like, and he's like, hey, if we can get Gina Carano, then yes, I'm going to take her. But when she's on set, I'm going to tell her, you're bigger than this. You can do more. Stop applying for the fighting role.
Yeah. The tough girl role. Yeah.
The footage we saw showed her kind of really getting into it one-on-one with the Mandalorian, like a little.
They were rolling around.
Yeah, rolling around, gunslinging, cowboy style stuff. And I have a feeling it's going to be multifaceted. I think they're going to be rivals at first, then they're going to become allies, and there may even be romance between the two.
You mean enemies to lovers?
Enemies to lovers, maybe.
My favorite trope.
Star Wars finally needs that because the sequel trilogy just doesn't have it. So, churning the butter, baby, churning the butter. Just kidding, everybody. Okay. I'm digging it. I like her. I think she's cool. I think she's awesome, and I hope she doesn't die in like episode 2.
I don't think she will. I think she's a main character.
Yeah.
One of the best things a director or showrunner or anything like that can do is taking someone who maybe even doesn't have the best talent, but utilizing them in the way that they're best utilized, if that kind of makes sense.
Like believing in them.
Yeah, but I mean, like also, like if they're not a strong deliverer of dialogue, then don't give them that many lines.
Setting them up to succeed.
Yes, yeah. So Dave Bautista being one of these is like the best examples, because in every movie he's been utilized the best way that he can be, and it just pushes him into the next role, and people are like, I want that guy because he was really good at exactly what he was told to do in a good way.
Like, who's the guy who directed Guardians of the Galaxy and wrote it?
James Gunn.
James Gunn is... how confident was he in Vin Diesel then? He's just like, you're gonna voice a tree.
He probably liked Iron
just
Giant.
Say I am Groot.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know what the whole deal. I mean, why cast a star to do the I am Groot thing? But I don't know.
How do we set up Vin Diesel to succeed? Have him just say the words "I am Groot" into a mic.
But I would love to see another person come out of a totally different industry and move into this and actually be successful and well received. So more power there.
Can I say one thing really quick?
Yeah.
What is Bill Burr's role? Do we know yet? Have they talked about it yet at all?
He's got to be some kind of comic relief. That's. I mean,
it's like we saw that footage at Celebration, which obviously nobody saw except certain individuals that leaked it out. That footage wasn't seen by anyone except if people were in the room, and the only thing that stuck out to me, because he's my favorite comedian, is Bill Burr, and like he didn't say anything, they haven't talked about it, and he's in it like shooting guns and stuff. Bill Burr, what do you do in this show?
I think he's gonna be like a funny sidekick type of guy for the Mandalorian.
I think he's gonna be the weapons guy.
Yeah, but like a sidekicky, like a Robin.
No, like the weapons guy that's like, oh, you need guns, I got guns. Look at all these guns.
Oh, really?
I got.
Like
that's what I think he's gonna be. Yeah.
Interesting.
You just saw John Wick, the gun guy.
Yeah, John Wick's good.
And I saw Indiana Jones.
Yes, finally.
And I saw Toy Story 4.
I have to see Toy Story 4. Can I say one last thing about the story before we move on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I am Groot. Give me an Oscar.
Our next
That's
story.
That's really all you had to add?
That's it.
Oh, James, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
The covers, the final covers for the Age of comic series, and this one's called Age of Resistance, have been revealed, as well as synopsises for each. Is that the word? Synopsises for each one of these. So the four that were announced, we have Rey on the cover, Kylo Ren on the cover, Snoke on the cover, and Rose Tico on the cover. 4 new issues. Lacey, I'm going back to you. I assume you're most excited about Kylo Ren, but is there another one that you would be excited to hear a little bit more about?
I am excited for Kylo Ren. However, I'm more excited for Snoke's.
Okay, there we go.
Snoke's looks really interesting. And the idea that his synopsis is about, like, he has this broken, tormented kid. Can he break him? I'm like, what is he going to be doing to Kylo Ren? Although, guys, it sets you up again to feel bad for him. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I'm excited for Snoke. I want to know more about him before, he got cut in half.
Before he got cut in half.
And then he was no more.
I want to know more about him after he got cut in half. the puppeteer, the man pulling the strings. No, I'm just kidding. John, what do you think? Any one of these stick out to you? Rey, because Leia's in the background?
Yeah, I mean, these are hit and miss, these Age of series. There were some I liked, some I didn't like. I thought the Anakin and Obi-Wan one was cool. I thought some weren't as good. There was a Boba Fett one from the Age of Rebellion. I think that was all right, I don't even like Boba Fett that much. These are interesting. The Rose Tico one threw me off a little bit. I felt like that was almost kind of like we want to show that we support Kelly Marie Tran more than we need to tell a Rose Tico story in a comic. But so I got to admit, I probably won't be reading that one. But the Snoke thing does interest me because he's gone now, and we're entering the area of now we're going back to find out the mysteries about him in a way, and whether or not that tells us anything to build us up for episode 9 to close out this sequel trilogy, we'll find out. I know the comics usually don't delve too much into that because they want people to be able to watch these movies seamlessly, and they don't expect a lot of the audience to read these types of things. So you gotta keep that in mind as much as you love the comics. But yeah, anything that you give me more about Kylo Ren, I'm a huge Kylo Ren fan. As you guys know, I joke around a lot about the Bendemption thing, but love Kylo Ren, so give me more of that stuff. And I'm sure the Rey one will be good too if you sprinkle in some Leia in there. So I'm down for these. I'll probably read them. I like one-offs because you don't have to worry about missing an issue or anything like that. So yeah, why not?
Comics are expensive too. They're not like $1 like they were years and years and years ago. They're like $5.99 each.
Yeah,
like that adds up. 4 of those, you're at $20 already. 20 plus.
Are the digital more or less than the book?
Less. But like,
no, I mean,
it still adds up.
I think they're the same price. And the only thing
the Snoke one's half off, so that's good.
If you I don't even know where I'm going.
I'm not even laughing at the joke. I'm laughing at the fact that he looks so proud when he does it.
Yeah. The trade paperbacks have like 5 issues for $20. So it's kind of like getting an issue for free.
Right.
Do you think there's any chance that all of these happen at the same time? Like they're releasing them, these 4, so that they could be like, here was what Kylo Ren was doing, and this is his point of view. Here's Snoke's point of view. On the other side of the world, here was what Rey was doing, dreaming.
Why don't you give us a Finn comic, though? Like, wouldn't it be way more interesting to get an FN 2187 comic than whatever Rose Tico was doing back? She even
They already did that, though. They already did a Finn comic.
They did the Nines, the other guy, right?
I thought
2199?
They did a Finn one.
I don't remember a Finn comic. Did they do that?
I don't know. I feel
because
like they did. I saw a cover the other day with Finn on it by the same guy, by Phil Noto.
Does the Rose thing take place before The Last Jedi, we're assuming, right?
Yes, because it's with her sister.
So she says, even in The Last Jedi, I did sit around and bang pipes all day. So what's her comic going to be?
No. Because she was part of the Cobalt Squadron before this. She has seen action before, but since recently.
I didn't read that. Did anyone read that? Did you read that?
I didn't.
What's funny is it's the only book that I haven't read, and it's sitting on my list, and I'm like, dang it, man, I need to go back and get that one. But people are going to get mad at me. Literally is to this day the only novel that's come out that I haven't read.
Because I have no interest, and they're going to be like, oh, it was really great, and you should have read it. You're dumb.
There are tons of characters I don't have interest in. It's just life.
Yeah. I do have a friend that read Cobalt Squadron, and he said it wasn't necessary reading. In fact, his opinion on it was that it actually kind of made The Last Jedi worse because...
Oof, come on.
Yeah, because it felt like she was supposed to be kind of that like nothing to something arc. Yeah. And now it felt like she was something, and then she went to nothing to get back to something.
That's my point, though. People watch The Last Jedi who may not be the 2% of Star Wars fans who read that book, and they're just like, oh, this girl worked at pipes all day, and she did nothing, and now she became a part of something. Cool. Oh, wait, what? She did all this and then did that? It's just like, they got to chill with some of these backstories, man. That's why I'm so excited that we're moving on to different eras and moving forward. Like, filling these gaps to sell these books is getting whack, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's getting a little much.
I think a lot of characters do have backstories that you can tell, but sometimes the movies are the introduction to a character, and you just have to recognize that their backstory there was nothing there.
Don't you feel like sometimes they're
weren't
just
doing
like,
anything?
Let's just make up this story just so we can sell some comics? Like, it's just like, Luke did that? Like, what? Like, it just sometimes it sounds like so distant from everything I know about the path of these characters. But
my whole thing is like, a lot of characters come into movies, like James said, at a certain point. So once you go beyond that point, it's like, why? Because their story began when you met them, not prior to that, because the story is when they enter said story.
And Rose is a great example of that. And whereas the opposite of that would say like someone like Phasma, like you're like, I don't know anything about that character, and it's
So
not
that
like she's
makes
being
sense.
introduced. She
Right.
clearly has a history of
Yes.
being some
And-
sort of leader in the
people
First
are,
Order.
And people are gonna call me a hypocrite because I'm so in on the Solo stuff, which is obviously before Harrison Ford's arc. But we heard those stories about Han and Chewie working for Jabba and doing the Kessel Run and all this stuff. Like we know that story, that part of his story existed, and with Chewie and Lando and all that stuff. So to me, that's different than being like, here's this new character. Oh, but she did all these things. So buy this book. Like, no, I'm not gonna buy that book.
Yeah, I don't.
Like I don't mind it so much in a
get it.
comic, but like a TV show or a movie or something, I don't care like what Luke was doing. That's why I'm again against that like Obi-Wan stuff. Like if you have a time frame where nothing is happening, then just let that be nothing was happening. You don't have to force something in that story just because you want to sell something based on that character.
Yeah.
I just feel like in my mind, I didn't like the casino part of Last Jedi. So I'm automatically lumping her in with that, Rose. So then I automatically am like, no.
I think I liked Canto Bite at first because I heard
I
of...
don't like Canto Bite at all.
I liked it at first because of the spectacle of it and how much they
What
said
went
they put
into
into
it,
making
yeah.
it happen. And then each time I watch it, it gets worse. So like December 2017, me walking out of the theater, I'm like, all right, so that was their cantina. That was their, that thing for that
Maz,
movie.
yeah.
That was kind of cool. And then like each time I watch it, I'm like, oh, I'm at that scene. Damn.
Even John
I feel
Williams'
that way.
music
I
is
don't-
like,
I don't mind the Canto Bite stuff.
and you're like, ugh.
Yeah, well, it's very casino-y and boppy, boppity, bop.
Oh, I
bop,
meant
bop.
when they're writing the Fathiers. Like, I don't like that song.
Oh, the Harry Potter sounding stuff, yeah.
I still watch the Canto Bite scene with the eyes of like, I want to see it all. though.
That opening shot where they go straight through the casino, beautiful. Like, prime filmmaking. But like, I don't know. Ugh.
There's a book called Canto Bite, and they talk about 4 different characters that are just there, and they happen to be in the movie.
little lizard
and
guys.
some of them are like deleted scenes and stuff too, but they still exist in that Canto Bite world. And it's interesting to me, having read the book too, because when someone just might be like, what is the point of this alien? To me, I'm like, but I know that alien, and I know how he's interacted with that character over there. That's
Yeah.
just the other random alien.
I refuse
So it kind
to
of
read
has
that
this
book.
whole the cantina, like all the different creatures in A New Hope cantina, Mos Eisley and stuff. I don't know. That stuff intrigues
That stuff's
people.
cool. I'm just thinking
But-
of the whole sequence of Canto Bite. To me,
I agree.
Just sticks out to
I
me
know
as
what
something
you're
that's
saying.
like,
Yeah.
If you take that 30 minutes and you like do something else, you could have enriched Poe's story or you could have, done other things. But
could have done more
This is the
Phasma.
longest story we've talked about.
no, but I didn't read that book on purpose because one of the authors of that book was like found out to have said really awful things publicly about George Lucas. And I was like, screw that guy. Like, I can't believe they gave him that job.
I think I had already read it by the time that came out, but
Man.
They
They got a vet
all right,
there.
well, I think that's it for all the stories this week. That's just about everything we got in
I guess we
the
couldn't
Resistance
take it any
Report.
fathier than this.
Look at
there's no
Lacey entering the ring of the dad jokes.
You're
So we're
welcome.
going to send it over now to John for the Scoundrels rundown.
Okay, guys, we have 3 stories. So on 3, we will send this baby into hyperspace. No coaxium needed. 1, 2, punch it.
Punch
Punch
it!
it. I thought you were gonna do 3 and punch it.
On 3, Lacey.
Whatever.
One of these days. All right, guys. Speaking of the books, we have a spoiler review for the Alphabet Squadron first novel by Jordan Pate over at StarWarsNewsNet.com. I was joyed to read this spoiler review because I know everything that happened in the story and I didn't have to waste my time. So very good. Thank you, Jordan, for that. But if you are interested in the review, if you don't mind spoilers and you want to see if you're going to like this book or not, definitely go to StarWarsNewsNet.com. Check out what Jordan did over there. Great review. Good job, buddy. And as always, our review team always kills it. Yelena and Kyle as well. Speaking of books, rolling on. Thrawn Treason, the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive edition, is heading to San Diego Comic-Con. So if you are going to San Diego Comic-Con, you can find out how to get that. We have an article at StarWarsNewsNet.com explaining the details, the booth, the times, how to grab that. And if you aren't going, find someone who is and see if they can grab you a copy and take care of it that way. Because as we know, people like to scalp items. So if you don't get it, they'll try to get you online for hundreds of dollars. And I guarantee you a Thrawn book is not worth it. Okay? All right, guys.
Hey, John.
Yes.
Can I jump in on your rundown real fast for a fun fact?
Oh, sure, James. Like a Genderson's pelt.
The Thrawn Treason San Diego Comic-Con cover that was revealed was directly inspired from Knights of the Old Republic, the scene where you look up and you see all the Sith light up all their lightsabers. Mm-hmm. That was the actual, like, we want a Thrawn cover that looks like that, and so that's what they came up with specifically for this convention cover.
Do you have a name drop
so I
of
thought
an
that was
artist?
kind of interesting. Do what?
Name drop for the artist?
Nope. Because I don't know the artist.
That's all right. We'll find out. We'll let you guys know.
It was, I think, like an author or publisher that said that.
Right. Okay. Well, the last story we kind of really talked about in the Resistance report, but we just want to tell you that the covers that were revealed for Age of Resistance, being the Kylo one, Rey, Rose, and Snoke, again, focusing on the fact that the Snoke comic will delve into the beginning of Kylo Ren's training, as Lacey had mentioned earlier. And so if you're interested in that backstory and finding out how Ben Solo became Kylo Ren, that might be the issue you want to pick up. Age of Resistance, the final series in the Age of comic series. So that is it. A very literature-driven Scoundrels rundown. Again, always go to StarWarsNewsNet.com for all of our stories from the Resistance report and the Scoundrels rundown. But now we're going to hear from you guys. So we're going to send it over to Lacey Gillerin to fire off your questions in Ask the Resistance. So Chewie, my friend, my people, get us out of here.
All right, guys, it's time for Ask the Resistance. You have Star Wars questions. Hopefully we have some pretty good Star Wars answers.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
So the first question comes from Mike Sellers at Puke, or is it Puke or Puck? I say Puke every week.
I think it's Puke Sellers, but he threw in the 32. That might be a sports number or something.
Oh, that's why I'm getting confused, because I see that and I'm like, is it Puke? Is it Puck? Does he like hockey?
I think it's Puke.
Puke Sellers with the 32 in the middle. He asks, what is the one main thing that you think they might actually do in The Rise of Skywalker that you would absolutely hate? For me, it would be introducing any sort of time travel. It was fine in Endgame, but I don't want it in Star Wars. So I'll go first, ladies first. Mike, I completely agree. I think time travel is one of those things that is tricky and kind of lazy writing. Like, anytime you introduce some type of time travel, it's not done very well. The only examples I would give you where it is done well is Prisoner of Azkaban for Harry Potter and Back to the Future. Those are the only two movies that I will accept some sort of time travel.
Terminator?
Not really. Endgame, I felt was just weird. Like, for me, the timeline was like, what? What would I hate? It would probably be that. Any type of that, or like someone wakes up from a dream or something like that. Like any type of like lazy writing.
Lacey, would you... I'm going to position two things to you real quick. Would you hate it if Rey dies?
No.
Would you hate it if Kylo Ren dies?
No. If it made sense to the story, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wondering.
I would be sad because he's my favorite character, but I wouldn't like hate it. That's not my... I'm going to say this again for like the 50th time because I feel like sometimes... Not to you guys, but I'm saying in general.
Yeah.
These aren't our characters. These aren't our stories. Therefore, I won't hate anything unless I feel like it's a cop-out, like time travel or a dream. Like at the end of the movie, George Lucas wakes up and he's like, oh my God, I have a great idea for a movie. Like that, I'd hate that.
Snoke is the person impersonating the Emperor.
If it's done well, and Okay.
And there's a difference between hate and like not like you can not like the Rise of Skywalker.
Right. But I'm saying because they're not my characters and because it's not my story, I'm never going to hate anything. And I'm never like we just talked about how I don't like Canto Bight.
Right.
I wouldn't say I hate The Last Jedi because I don't like that scene. I just didn't do it for me.
The only one thing that would make Lacey really hate it is if they're like, guess what, guys? Tally Lyncher didn't die. She's back, baby.
Oh, you know what? I take everything back. Everything. No,
she's like, bombs away again. Here we go.
Second time.
Second time.
Bombs again.
More bombs away. Again.
Bombs for days. She just said like every line she has bombs in it.
She's like, this ship is the bomb.
Everyone's like, again?
God, get Tally out of here.
God, Tally. They just shoot her.
I love they keep a tally of how many times she says bomb.
They keep a tally in the corner. And then George pops out and he goes, it's poetry. It rhymes. It's poetry. Anyway.
I hate that line.
This sounds like a Black Series Rebels episode.
It does. So what's that? I'm trying to think of that funny thing. Take it to the bank.
Take it to the bank.
Shout out to Alex and Steve. What up, guys? So next is Timothy at Toasted Zen. And he asks, what do you imagine the odds are of additional Fighter Squadron level stories in the Star Wars canon after Alexander Freed's trilogy? Do you think a Battlestar Galactica style streaming show will ever be considered? James, what do you think?
All right, this actually kind of opened up my mind to a lot of different ideas. But I want to start this off by saying I'm not the biggest Alexander Freed fan because
this is Alphabet Squadron, right?
Yes, I didn't really get into Battlefront, the first one. I was like, I can't. I've read it twice, and I can't like grasp who the characters are, where the places they're going. There's a lot of military talk in it. I mean, Thrawn is like crazy military, and yet at the same time, I'm like, I understand what is happening in the story, but like, I feel like there's something about like the jargon of the writing that I'm not getting. So I'm kind of like reluctant to go into Alphabet Squadron. I have started it, but it feels the same way. I'm like, all right, he's got a lot of characters that he's trying to introduce, and I'm not quite grabbing any of them.
Yeah. That was a bug. I'm sorry.
So where I think they're going, or what they could go, is do you think that there's a chance they could come up with like a Battlestar Galactica streaming show? I think there is a possibility, and I think if they did do it, it would take place between 6 and 7, and it would be led by Thrawn. It would be Thrawn's show, a live action Battlestar Galactica show led by Thrawn. Because I think he's one of the stuff. Yeah, I think he's one of the leaders of a certain style of Star Wars.
No, I understand.
Underworld and stuff. Oh, that's Boba Fett. Like, we want a Boba Fett show or something like that. Like, but if you want military and strategy and all that stuff, I feel like Thrawn is a really good place to start, and there's some name brand recognition to it as well. So, yes, I do think they could do that, and I think that would be the way they go.
I don't know if you're with me on this, but like I was reading the character names for Alphabet Squadron. I'm like, I am never remembering any of these character names. There's like Ursi Derlikadu. I'm like, can we get an Eric or like a Bob in like Star Wars?
Weird,
like
the way it's pronounced is Erica.
Dingadoo. Like what?
That name that you said first, and it's funny because you're like, can we get an Eric? Because her name pronounced Erica.
Yeah, there's one that like there's another one like Will or something, but it's like spelled weird.
WYL, which was funny because I went looking for Will in like Wikipedia, and I was like, I can't find this character.
You looked up
and then
W-I-L-L.
I looked him. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like that's why I couldn't find him.
Yeah.
But no, there's like Kyros and Keith or something, Keth, or I think
Keith,
Neth maybe.
Neth,
yeah, not
Neth?
Keith, probably not Keith. Neth,
the newest character.
Yeah,
and fifth Neth. Now Keth.
No, but that's exactly it. Is like when you're introducing characters, it feels like you're watching, like you're reading The Hobbit or something, and they're like, Lorp talked to Gorp, and Gorp said to Keely, and Feely was, and you're like, okay, I just need to learn all 13 of these freaking dwarf names, because
and then they're like,
I have no
Lord,
clue
blah,
who's
blah,
talking
blah.
to who. I can't place them in the room.
Yeah.
They're bringing in like random colonels and stuff, and I'm like, are these supposed to be important characters? Who is this person? It's really hard to place what's going on, and then on top of that, they fill in all the military jargon, and I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but I hear that the second half of the book is better than the first, so it's going to. You need to establish everybody, and then the action happens. So I'm looking forward to it. But John already knows what happened because he read the spoiler review.
John, before we get to the next question, are you Team Lorp or Team Gorp?
I don't know, but then I was thinking about Really and Feely. I'm like, I don't know.
It's Keely and Feely.
Oh, Keely and Feely. Yeah.
I might be Team
Yeah.
Gorp, not gonna lie.
I don't know.
I'm absolutely Team Keely because Keely is the name of our dog, and he actually is like the one dwarf that they get. Well, not the one, but like they actually kind of give him a little more of a story because he has like a love interest in the movie.
Right.
But
And then they obviously give them
Keely.
the line, I have a bad feely about this. And you're like, oh, there it is.
it's too obvious,
Way too obvious.
So if they do that
All
in
right.
episode 9, they bring in Feely.
They bring in Mr. McFeely from Mr. Rogers, and there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James,
Next
that was
question?
a great answer. I feel really bad that I interrupted it by getting attacked by a bug. But besides that, it was a great answer. And I totally agree because I don't know anything about military. And anytime people get into like military jargon in movies too, like even though Independence Day is like the farthest thing from a military movie, like when they get into that war room and they're like, we need to do this and that, I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
How bad is that movie?
I love Independence Day.
Yeah.
Brutal.
I love it.
I think it's pretty well received, John.
That has not aged
if
well.
you have to appreciate it just for the fact that they took actual models of the buildings and blew them up. Like it's not CG. They just blew up like actual models of the White House.
I'm almost about to switch on John and flip the whole conversation and just be like, John doesn't like good movies. Always.
Snap.
Yeah. You always try to rip me down for not liking or for
Independence
liking
Day.
specific movies, but they're movies that people like and you don't see them.
I watch
and you don't
Independence
like
Day
them, good
every
ones.
4th of July.
I liked Independence
Yeah,
Day
for
when
sure.
I was like 13. But, I mean, it's time to grow up, folks. That movie stunk.
I guess I'm a 13-year-old boy then because I love that movie.
It just hasn't aged well. I'm sorry. I apologize to all the diehard Independence Day fans out there. I'm so
You better
sorry.
apologize to Matt because Matt loves that movie.
But it's time to, welcome to Earth, folks. It's time to get in tune with some real good movies for a change, okay? All right.
Speaking of getting in tune, our next question is from David Probus at P Buff Daddy 00.
All right.
And he asks, in the Benioff and Weiss films, would you rather them adapt a legend story, i.e. Bane, or create all new characters in the Old Republic? John, as our Game of Thrones fan, what are your thoughts?
Those guys are going to crush it, and they're going to make a good movie that's not like Independence Day.
I didn't ask if they were going to crush it.
Oh, I'm
I
getting
asked.
there. Yeah, I think they are going to do new stuff. I don't think we're adapting legend stories. I think legends are legends, guys. We need to let them be legends. I know every once in a while they pull things that they like from it, like that costume's cool, or that mask's cool, or this idea that someone did here is cool, but they're not bringing these stories back, guys. They're the reason why they cast them out. They're not coming back. So you can pound the ground as much as you want. I don't care how much you love legends and how much money and time you spent reading and watching and whatever, all that, they ain't coming back. So you can keep them for how they were, and there you go. So, and also because if they do adapt, say they did this, which they're not doing, the backlash they would receive out of the gate just by diehards of the original version of that story would destroy these guys and make it a PR nightmare that they don't want. So what they're going to do is take you to an era with a clean slate and tell you brand new stories with brand new characters. And that's not only the smart thing to do, it's the right thing to do. So no, David, I do, whichever side of the aisle you're on that, I do not think, I think there's a 0% chance they're going to adapt a legend story for their movies.
All right, cool. And last but not least is Kylo Ren verse Mask at verse_Ren. And they asked, "Hi guys, I asked this question, parenthesis, on behalf of my kids some time ago. Hi kids. But in the light of the teaser trailer, what do you think our chances are now of seeing an Ewok in The Rise of Skywalker?" Ooh. James, I'm going to start with you. What, do you think we're going to see an Ewok in this last movie to wrap up the saga? Should we do percentage?
Since they asked for chance? What's the chances?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Or we could do the dentist style out of 5.
At the dentist style. There's always a 5th dentist, though.
2 out of 5 Ewoks chance.
Nice.
No, I think there is a 8% chance.
Out of what?
100.
Out of 100?
Yeah.
That's a very small chance.
Yeah?
Yep.
Do you think it's like a sure bet that we're definitely getting Ewoks?
They said at least a Ewok.
Okay. Yeah. 9%.
Ooh. you sold them.
We're not doing that. We're doing it the dentist way. It's out of 5.
So that would be 0 dentist then. 1/2 of a dentist.
If Snoke was a dentist.
You have to work in whole numbers, so it would be 1 out of 5 dentists.
So 1 out of 5 dentists agree that there will be Ewoks in The Rise of Skywalker.
Okay. John?
2 dentists, 40% chance, because there's a higher likelihood we won't see one, but maybe they're like, yo, Warwick Davis, you're going to play Wicket again for one last time, and you're going to show them where the Death Star is on Endor, and you're going to be like, oh, nothing, and then that'll be it. So 2 out of 5 dentists agree that an Ewok might be in The Rise of Skywalker.
See, I think it's going to be 5 out of 5 dentists. I think this is one of those things that when we had Clayton on last summer, which we got to have him on again, but when we had him on last summer to talk about footage with Carrie, he had kept saying, there's a lot of fan service stuff. Fans will be happy. I think the Ewoks are something that fans love. And I think that just having one in a scene somewhere is going to happen. Like one on a ship, like when they make that rally cry to everybody in the universe to fight the First Order. I guarantee there could be an Ewok in there somewhere. So I'm saying 5 out of 5 dentists say.
So you're saying 100% chance. You're not giving yourself any breathing room at all.
No, I'm going for it.
Technically she falls in somewhere between, I think,
81 and 100.
Would be 80%, so it'd be 90% to 100.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if I end up being right, I'm going to rub it in James and John's face.
Well, the only time Lacey's right is when she
I would love to see
spoilers.
an Ewok show up in the background. I think that would be cool. I just, when you look at a percentage of 50-50, I think there's a 50-50 shot that there's somebody sitting around.
How about 4 out of 5 dentists?
How about we don't use this scale? It's horrendous.
4 out of 5 Ewoks say they're going to be in the movie.
5 out of 5 dentists say we should not use this scale to rate things.
That sounds like a leak. Like, hey,
it
I'm
seemed
actually
like a good
playing
idea
an
when
Ewok,
I said
and
it.
so
Okay,
are my 3 friends.
80% chance there's going to be an Ewok in Star Wars.
And there you go.
And James says 8%, and I say 40%.
Okay, cool.
All right.
So 4 out of 5. All right, if you guys want to be on the show.
Versus Masks kids are like, why do you watch those guys?
That's a whole lot of gorp going on. All right. So if you want to be on the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN and ask your Star Wars questions to us with hashtag AskTheResistance, and you could be on the show. And we'll read your hashtag or your name and chat. And yep, back to John.
Screen name, username.
Yeah, that thing.
handle, blood type, social security number, the whole thing. All right, guys, I want to thank you all for listening, watching, being a part of the Resistance. I know a lot of new people every week have been joining us, so we hope you enjoy the podcast. Again, we're here twice a week. We post new episodes on Mondays and Thursdays, so you got to make sure you subscribe so you keep up to date with us, because the machine is not stopping, that's for sure. So you got your Apple Podcasts, formerly known as iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube. If you are watching, hello, we see you out there. Make sure you guys also go to our website, where all the news stories we talk about come from, StarWarsNewsNet.com. Every day for all of your latest news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. James has got that logo right in your face if you're watching on YouTube. If you guys want to support the podcast, go over to patreon.com/resistance broadcast. That's patreon.com/resistance broadcast. We have 5 tiers starting at $2 a month, and we have new content we're posting on there every day. We like to think that we may be the most active Star Wars Patreon podcast page. So if you want to support us and also get a lot of new exclusive content and a bunch of other benefits and rewards, go check out the tiers 1 through 5 and join the Resistance. You won't regret it. But I do want to say thank you to our generals. Very special thank you to Carmelo, who just moved to Spain. Glad you made it there, Carmelo. Brian Shalito, our resident Indians fan. Don Boring, great artist. Andrew Staley, race car fan, heading to Celebration next year.
With the big beers.
Hopefully Jimmy Johnson does a little better for you in the second half of the NASCAR season. Len Brown, who is a little worried about gaming, and you'll find out more about that when he joins us on the Patreon pod race on Thursday. Neil Lowry, the general of positivity, crushed it in the Patreon pod race last week. And Jeremy Myers, who just officially bought an official Make Solo 2 Happen t-shirt, and he let us know all about it. But Jeremy's also heading to Celebration, so we're excited to see him again like we did in Chicago. So, there's one more. What's his name? Young lad. Oh, that's right. Val Trichkoff. And thank you all for all of your support. We appreciate you guys so much. Speaking of t-shirts, guys, I have to hawk it one more time. tpublic.com/user/resistance broadcast. We have 40 designs, and the hot ticket one right now that's flying off the digital shelves is Make Solo 2 Happen. We have 2 different variants for that. There may be someone who is a part of the movies who may be interested in picking one of those up soon. You may have heard that Jonas Sotomo is all about that. But yeah, check it out. We have 39 other designs. James designed most of them, and pick up your swag that way. That is it for that. So now for us, guys, you can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and writing and editing at StarWarsNewsNet.com. James, what about you, buddy?
Twitter and Instagram are the 2 places that I type a lot, and they are linked to me via a screen name known as Myra Trunks.
Oh, Dragon Ball reference. Lacey, how about you?
People can find me on Twitter at Lacey Gillerin, where I talk about Star Wars and talk about how excited I am for Celebration.
Yes. And if you guys are not aware, James Baney used to be in the metalcore band The Devil Wears Prada. He was their keyboardist from 2005 to 2012, and he had 4 albums, and he went gold and platinum, and he toured the world everywhere, and he was a world-famous rock star. The Devil Wears Prada, James Baney, keyboardist. Now you know. All right, guys, so we'll see you on Thursday, where we're going to have a discussion called the Kessel Run, and we're going to run down our list of 12 people who helped make Star Wars happen behind the camera. Very important people to Star Wars that aren't actors. So we're not talking Harrison Ford. We're not even talking George Lucas. Some people you may have heard of, some maybe not. But either way, it's going to be a good time. So we hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you Thursday morning with another episode right here on the Resistance broadcast. We'll see you around, kids.